Hi, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons at the 2025 GEOINT Symposium in St. Louis, Missouri. I had the pleasure of talking with Ken Dyers with Decision Lens. So, Ken, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
And as we start off, I want to learn a little bit about you first, how you got involved in the industry, and then we'll dive right into your company.
Okay, great. So, Ken Dyer, VP for Customer Success at Decision Lens, focusing on the intelligence community accounts. Only been with the company about a year and a half. Prior to that, I was a federal contractor supporting various IC agencies. I won't name them, but numerous agencies. My background functionally is within the PPBE process, so planning, programming, budget execution activities. So anything federal financial management, I've probably done in my background, but was excited to come to Decision Lens. I'll tell you a little bit more about it as we talk about it.
Oh, great. So you have an extensive background and knowledge about the geospatial industry as a whole, or how'd you get involved with this?
A portion of that. So Decision Lens supports many different customers. I'll tell you a little bit about the company, and then we can talk about how we specifically focus on some of our GEOINT types of customers. So at our core, Decision Lens is an integrated prioritization, planning, and funding software.
Okay.
We were founded as a small business back in 2002. So we kind of joke that Decision Lens is the startup that will never go away. And our software is based around something called the Analytical Hierarchy Process. What that is basically telling you is it's taking a complex problem and how to break it down into smaller, more manageable problems.
Right.
That Analytical Hierarchy Process was developed by Dr. Thomas Saaty, and our company was founded by two of his sons, who are now our CEO and our CTO, John and Dan. So they took that Analytical Hierarchy Process and commoditized it in a way that became Decision Lens as a software. So again, at our core, we're a prioritization, planning, and funding software. We are a COTS solution, so we're a commercial off-the-shelf software, and we operate as a SaaS model, so a solution, software as a solution. So we basically sell software licenses and then work with our different IC or DoD agencies to develop their portfolios and get them stood up and operating on various different use cases that they might need our software to help with.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, so specifically for the intelligence community, what does that mean for them?
Right. So I'll talk a little bit about how the software works,
okay,
and then you can probably start seeing how it actually helps a multitude of different customers. So if you think about think of a Venn diagram. On your left-hand side, you've got your core systems. You've got your core financial systems, your whatever's kind of pulling in data. And on the right-hand side, you've got your visualization or your Power BI tools, where Decision Lens operates as kind of that middle space where like the actual analysis occurs. So we like to consider our main competitors are spreadsheets. We want to get any agency away from using spreadsheets to do data calls, to analyze data, because it's more of a collection tool.
Right.
What Decision Lens does is it will ingest that data from a spreadsheet or from your core system and allow that analysis to happen to operate within the software. I talked about that AHP, Analytical Hierarchy Framework.
Yep.
So within the software, we use decision science, and once that data is ingested into it, it's kind of binned into different categories, which we call our VCRB framework. So there's value, cost, risk, and balance. So as that data is absorbed, you can then use that data to figure out where am I getting the most value, what's the most cost effective, where am I willing to accept risk, and where am I getting the most value, kind of your bang for the buck.
Right.
So it has a lot of really cool features. Once that data is imported in there, it's kind of assigned those different categories. The decision science behind it will allow you to set different criteria. And then if you say mission alignment to strategy is one criteria, directors' priorities, the directorate, the centers, the offices, they're voting for it. So as you kind of align that different prioritization, if you change one, it kind of re-racks and stacks that inputted data that you've already submitted.
So I want to back up for a second, because
Sure.
You're talking about a lot about the process and the prioritization of the data within this framework, and that's great. Can we talk a little bit more detail? What kind of data are you talking about? Like, what kind of geospatial data are you talking about? What kind of analytical data are you talking about? So, I mean, is it all kinds of data, or do you focus on specific sect of the industry or the of analysis to help where this framework actually applies?
Yeah, great question. I can answer that in two ways. I'll get back to like the GEOINT specific part one in a second. But the other way is it's very flexible. So whatever data you're ingesting, it can be requirements, it can be projects, it can be programs, it can be facilities, whatever your one-to-end list is what can be imported into the software. And then based on that criteria, again, you can re-rack and stack as that criteria changes. So from a GEOINT perspective, we have actually supported some IC agencies in the past where they have taken collection data, imported it into Decision Lens, and then once it was in there, we're able to perform some analysis on what's our top priority, what's the least priority. As the environment shifts, then you're also able to shift what that criteria might be.
Right.
So it can depend, it's very flexible, but from a GEOINT perspective, that's one specific example where we've actually used kind of GEOINT mission data to reprioritize what's been imported.
Okay, so can we go back to the question about the IC in general, in terms of what kind of traction you've gotten within the intelligence community based off these frameworks, and how well you've been able to expand within it, and how you do these processes?
Yep, great question also. So actually our customer base consists of largely a DoD presence. So we have all the different military services we're currently supporting, as well as federal civilian agencies. We also support a lot of state and local agencies, a lot of DOTs. So if you think about a Department of Transportation, you've got a limited budget, you want to figure out where you're going to invest your next resources from a project perspective. Which road are we going to repair first? Being able to prioritize those investments that way. From an IC perspective, we're still trying to grow our presence there. We do have 2 current ATOs, the authority to operate. So we have 2 ATOs with 2 different IC agencies. That's been a bit of a challenge for us as a small business, is kind of getting our foot in the door in each IC agency operating independently. So we do have 2 ATOs. I won't say the agencies there, but they've been willing to offer reciprocity for other agencies that would like to get that body of evidence to then implement Decision Lens at their location.
Perfect.
A lot of our use cases that some of these IC agencies have used us for are kind of UFR prioritization, so unfunded requirements. If you get an extra batch of funds, how is that going to be allocated out accordingly? Using the software takes a lot of that loudest voice out of the room. It allows for more data-driven decisions. And the way I really came to appreciate what Decision Lens does is because I would sit in some of those meetings and I would see 20 people in the room together kind of arguing and advocating for their own position. I'm thinking there's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah.
So with Decision Lens, you can do it remotely from your own desks or computer terminal. It's got the framework in there and it'll generate an output. And you can argue about whether or not you agree with that, but that's what the voting members who input that data, that's what drives the results.
Great, absolutely. So in terms of what kinds of, what would you like our audience to know about what you do at Decision Lens in terms of what you're trying to get across to your customers now? What's your unique differentiator? And what would you say, what's the most important thing that you want them to take from who you are? Yes.
So we are going through a challenging resource-constrained environment time right now. This is the perfect time for customers to look at Decision Lens to help make informed, data-driven decisions to figure out how they can operate more efficiently. It's something that the software has always done, and it's something that our current customers have always appreciated about it, but we have been seeing a lot of new interest and renewed interest in Decision Lens in terms of supporting how those tough trade-off decisions are being made. We'd like to think, the federal budget from a defense perspective is maintained relatively flat.
Right.
So there's lots of competition on where you're going to make those investments. And again, Decision Lens will help you make those investment decisions from a data-driven perspective. There's some great auditability features in there, so you can trace back how those decisions were made, who made them, when they were made. So there's some nice features in there that help from an auditability perspective as well.
Excellent. Well, to find out more about Decision Lens, where would you go?
Decisionlens.com. We've got online training that's available to anybody. We've got a Decision Lens University. You can learn more about how our company is actually structured. Myself, I'm our VP for Customer Success. For those of you that don't know what customer success is, it's even though we're a software company, we sell the license. Say NGA were to purchase a Decision Lens license, we don't just say, good luck, go figure it out. My customer success team will work with them on the ground to make sure that the workforce is trained, that they're comfortable, to identify use cases and implementations, and then to be there for support as their needs shift and change.
It's not a fire and forget. You want to make sure your customers are happy with their product and continuing that business in the future, right? So,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we want to be partners with the agencies that we support. We totally trust to turn it over to them to manage on their own, but the more we know about them, the better we can figure out places where we can help them succeed.
Excellent. Well, sir, I appreciate your time. Thank you for interviewing with us, learn a little bit more about Decision Lens and what you do for the community.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm Adam Simmons of Project Geospatial. Thanks for watching, and we will talk to everybody next time.